I really want to know what y'all think about the Ayesha Curry story, because a lot of people think that she wants to divorce her husband and live that hot girl summer kind of like lifestyle because she got married incredibly young and they started having children incredibly young as well. And she's been talking about wanting to feel desired by other men or something like that. And now she's talking about how she supposedly never wanted to be married or have kids or whatever. Well, listen, I'm going to let her tell you for herself. Okay. So listen to Ayesha Curry as she shares where she's at in her life and what she thought her life would look like in a different world, in a different timeline.
4 kids. Did you always knew you wanted a big family?
No. So I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl and that's it. And I had my eyes set on my goals. And I was never the little girl that like dreamt about the wedding dress and all of that. And then it happened so early in my life. So it's like, it's one of those things like you don't know what you actually don't know what you want.
It's so hard also to be the woman in a situation where you're like, men just don't get as much scrutiny. Like they can maybe tell him like your fucking shots suck tonight, but like the looks and all of that is just like not a factor of conversation as much.
No.
Did you talk to Steph about it? Like, or did you kind of keep it within yourself so it didn't?
I do not have a bone in my body that can keep anything to myself. So if it comes to mind, it's coming out. And he's so gracious. Like he tries to resonate with me, but he just can't. And he also comes from a place of like, it's effing stupid. Like, it's not true. So why are you? And I'm like, but wait, like, listen to how it makes me feel. And he's like, but why does it make you feel like that? It's not real. After we got married, we found out we were pregnant with our daughters so quickly. I didn't even have time to think about what I wanted anymore. It's so interesting. I spent my entire life like trying to work towards something, and then it kind of just disappeared, and I didn't think twice about it. But after my daughter turned 1, I remember there being a shift and being like, I have goals for myself. Like, this doesn't feel right. I love being a mom, but I love doing other things too. And I need to get my shit together and figure out what that looks like for myself now.
If I have a career and I'm not home, like, did you experience that?
I still experience that. I still experience that. I'm always in therapy talking about this. If you lose all of those things that were interesting about you, even for yourself, like even the things that made me feel confident and cool, then what are you doing?
So there you go. That's where Ayesha Curry is at right now. I do have to say, listen, I'm not surprised she feels this way. She got married very young. I think she was like 21, 22 years old. So she didn't really have the luxury of living a full life as an adult and really getting to know herself before getting married and especially before having kids. So this typically does tend to happen when people marry young or have children young sometimes. And I think she doesn't realize how lucky she is and how bad the dating market is and whatnot. So when I hear her talk about this type of thing, I'm like, girl, you do not want to be in these streets. You are not missing much of anything. Like, you really got yourself, from what I see, right? Of course, I don't know her husband. I don't know their relationship like that. Stephen Curry, by the way. But, I would rather be where she's at than out in the streets, because the streets are wild. They're rough, they're ghetto, and they are treacherous, truly treacherous. So just, and this is not the first time she's gone on a podcast recently to talk about, feeling this way. So it does make you wonder. And even just like listening to her talk, does she sound bubbly? Does she sound happy? Does she sound full of energy? Do you see a twinkle in her eye? To me, no. But that doesn't necessarily mean that she's done with a marriage or whatever. This might just be a rough, patch that they're going through, right? Growing pains when you're growing up with somebody. Neither of you really fully knew yourselves at that age. And then you threw marriage and children into the mix very, very quickly. Things happen, right? things happen. Good morning, Tyrell. Good morning, Acacia. So nice to see y'all. Melensa Savannah James is my favorite wife. Listen, I love how discreet she is. She's not out here on these podcasts, trying to get, headlines, clicks, attention, and whatnot. And one thing about Ayesha, she's been about that spotlight as long as I've known her, which is at least 10 years out in these streets. I will never forget when she just out of the blue, y'all remember where I don't know if it was Instagram or what, but she was talking about, like the girls these days, they like to show their bodies off. I like to see myself covered up and save the goods for the one who matters most. Girl, shut up. And then, lo and behold, these days now she's out there letting it all hang out because she sees like there's nothing wrong with dressing hot if you want to, right? Every once in a while. It was just so ridiculous. And I agree, East Austin. Yeah, I do think she does have a mild case of the Tamar Braxton, aka attention seeking. Shem says, I wish that I didn't go on this particular podcast. And I could agree with that too. This podcast is messy and the podcast host is a little bit questionable to say the least. Becky says, girl, shut up. You're a rich, go do what you want, but you have the freedom to do what you do because you have the money. And I completely agree. I feel like marrying a rich guy at 22 is a lot different than marrying your average 22-year-old guy, right? So, let's calm it down a little bit. But at the same time, I'm not surprised that she feels this way. And I think it's pretty much inevitable when you walk down this path in life. Shem says, I think it's okay for Ayesha to be honest in this way. Why are people always coming at her? Y'all really hate women. And you know what? That's the thing. Like I said, I think it's great that she's able to talk about it with her husband and everything like that. But it just makes me sad for her that she got married and did all of these things really young without really feeling like it was a passion or a calling for herself. It makes you wonder why exactly she did it, right? BY said, and when she talked about, I didn't dream of this or that, it's like, well, you didn't really have the time to. You met your husband when y'all were like 14 years old before you're really even, seriously thinking about this sort of a thing. BY says she loves her lifestyle. She's just telling us about her dreams for herself. This does not sound like she wants a divorce. She could still go after her goals. And, she's been a very ambitious person. I still remember, I don't know if she still has it or not, but she was doing like cookbooks. She had a cooking show. She had a restaurant. It feels like even with all those things, there's still like a lack of happiness or like a lack of fulfillment. And I gotta be honest, B-Wise and everybody, I gotta be honest. I kind of get the vibe, and I hope I'm wrong, but I get the vibe that she kind of wants to hit the streets. I kind of get the vibe that like, maybe she wants to open up her marriage or something, like see, like, if she's appealing to other men or something. That's just kind of like the vibe that I get from her. And I hope I'm wrong, right? Because, like I said, I think that she's got it good, and she doesn't want to see what it's like on those streets, right? Once she has a man who we've never heard of doing bad things, and he loves her more than she does. Sorry, right? And I think she should appreciate that. But at the same time, when you find the one so young, at the age of 14, 15 years old, I think it is normal and natural that you start to take that for granted and you start to wonder what's out there or what it's like to actually truly date, Becky says, I can't stand Alex Cooper. Why is she being forced on everyone? I wanted to watch that documentary on like how her podcast became so big, by the way. I have to find the time to watch it because I'm so fascinated by the origin story of Call Her Daddy. Tyrell says, I was abused and I was internally begging for someone to notice and help me. People don't want to get involved and help anymore. I'm so sorry that happened to you, Tyrell. And I'm happy that you were able to get out of that situation. Although I'm wondering, do you think that's what's happening with Ayesha Curry? Because to me, I feel like she just, she went through life a little bit too quickly. She made these major decisions a little bit too quickly. And that's what's hurting her. But I don't know, maybe you're seeing something I don't. Shem says, I think Ayesha knows how lucky she is. She's just mourning what never was. And that's a good way to say it, right? And that's the sad part, right? It's not something that you can buy. It's not something that you can replace. It's a life experience. And when you get married and you have kids with somebody, you're not going to get that life experience. Like it's done, right? Unless you get a divorce or your spouse agrees to some sort of an open relationship situation, which do I think that Stephen Curry would agree to that? Absolutely freaking not. Please, Ayesha, you've got it good. Don't go out there. Don't go out there. It's terrifying. Terry says, people grow apart, but is staying married worth it? Good question, right? Do you think they grew apart? Like, is that what's kind of like the writing on the wall here at this point? That like maybe, they're in different phases of life. They're growing apart. Like, is she burnt out? I don't know. Acacia, I'm nervous about that too. And now look at Tia Mori. All she does is post about like being in the streets and whatnot, right? I think she's realized too that it's not as great as what she had, back home. It's not perfect. It'll never be perfect. But I think is better typically than, whatever's out there, right? Raven says she secured the bag early. Without her husband, she would have no career opportunities like that and not be famous / no. Damn, don't forget she was on Hannah Montana. Damn it. Casey says, I got married at 20. I was never the girl who dreamed of the big wedding. 37 now with a 16 and a 13-year-old and loving life with my husband. Wouldn't change it. And that's beautiful. And I hope that Ayesha comes around to being in that same place as you as well, because from the outside looking in, it looks like she's got it made. It looked like a really, really, beautiful life. But at the same time, you really never know what actually goes on behind closed doors, right? Especially as far as relationships with athletes are concerned. Milan says, yes, I remember. She shamed all of us. And for no reason, it came out of nowhere. And true, Mocha Madness, and they recently have a kid too. Just saying. Just saying. Oh my God, she came for Rihanna too. Lord have mercy. Ooh. East Awesome, I could see you're not a fan. Ayesha has tons of failed ventures. She's stir crazy. Damn. Jalisa says, the thing Steph got to explore in his marriage. Ooh. So maybe she does too. Well, that's what I mean about marriages with athletes. I think it's a one-way open relationship, but I hope because of all the crying she's doing publicly, he lets her go ahead and open up that marriage on her side too. Let her get some on the side. She needs it. She needs it. And I agree, Be Wise. Maybe she needs to, seek therapy and counseling over this instead of discussing it on the airwaves. And I agree. Shem says birth control. Lord have mercy.